everybody. Yeah, me again. It's been about 3 weeks since I've been able to get on the motorcycle and come out for a ride. And it's Saturday, December 27th. It's about 62 or 63 degrees. It's really nice, sun shining up above. We've had about 2 weeks of nothing but gray skies and rain. In fact, I thought for a minute we were in a different state. Something like, you know, the Northwest up there where it rains all the time. But it's really pretty today. Had a lovely holiday season. We've got to see almost everybody. You know, when you got families where you've got to go, I got family in Atlanta, I've got family here, I've got family several other places, and it's hard to get up with everybody all at one time. So we're actually going to get up with my son tonight, and I'll get to see him, celebrate Christmas with him, and then I think we're going to get a chance to actually get up with my daughter later in the week. We're been down in Atlanta for the last couple of weeks. Haven't been able to ride this old girl, and my wife said, let's go ride. It's really pretty outside. Of course, I've been chomping at the bit. I just didn't want to not include her, so that's why you have the view you have today. This is the side cam mount. I don't believe I've ever even put a video on with this mount. Leaves burning. I love it. Close to home. Something's rattling around, making some noise. But yeah, those leaves. Well, I smell those leaves, and that just takes me back to my childhood. We used to burn leaves a lot. That was a lot of fun when you were a kid. But like I said, we've had a lot of rain. We've been in Atlanta. We're back here now for a little while, and later on in the week, I think around the 1st, we're going to go visit some friends, celebrate the new year with them. Retirement's been, you know, different. Been something to get used to. The biggest thing is not being in North Carolina. I've been in Atlanta quite a bit, and you know, when you live in a place in a long time, even though I worked all the time, but I mean, I knew where everything around here was, and you know, the stores I like to go to, heck, the place I like to buy my gas, stuff like that. And that's all stuff you got to learn new when you go to a new city. And I think I'm fitting in okay. We found a couple of really nice places to go visit. I've got quite a few more to go. Atlanta was one of the, of course, biggest battles in the Civil War. Took place around Atlanta, and I've already covered a little bit of that when we went up on top of Kennesaw Mountain. But there are lots of other places around there that I'm going to try to visit, and hopefully I'll be able to video those for you and show them to you. I know some people have expressed interest in it, and I'd like to keep doing it if I can. But really, my bread and butter and the thing I've really missed is being out here on this motorcycle. And but back on it again we are, and we'll give it a shot, see how things go. I think everything's going to be just fine. Like I said, I have my lovely wife on the back today, so I will be taking it easier than even I normally do. And I don't want to throw her off or us down. So it's different. You know, this is a heavy motorcycle. This is a 800-pound motorcycle, and I'm not a lightweight. But with my wife and I on here, it just rides different. She sinks down a little more in the shocks, and I guess the tires splay out a little bit more, and it just handles just a little differently. Not a bad way, it's just a little different. So, you know, every time you get on it, you're riding, and anybody who's rides double knows that. You know, you put somebody on the back of a bike, it changes the handling characteristics. It's just something you get used to, and it's no big deal. This old girl will pull us around no problem, and she'll just grunt and go, you know, the way it was meant to be. But my wife has a picture. I've told you a little bit about how my wife and I met, and it was in junior high school. She was a Florida girl, born and raised in Florida. Her father worked for Ford Motor Company, and he was a sales rep. And whenever there was a troubled dealership or area, they would send him in. And he would go in and try to straighten it out. And once he got it straightened out, they'd move him to another trouble spot. And that's how valuable he was to a Ford Motor Company. Well, she grew up in Florida, and at the time she got old enough to go into junior high, her father got transferred, and that's where we met. And I noticed her right off. Imagine tall, thin, beautiful long brown hair, cascading almost all the way down her back. Prettiest smile you ever saw, and just sweet as she could be. And there was only one thing wrong with her. She just wanted to be my friend. That's all she wanted to do. I'm 16 years old. I want a girlfriend big time. But we were friends, and we stayed friends. And the reason I mentioned it, she has a picture, and I may try to, I don't know if I'll put it on or not, but she has a picture of both of us at about 16 sitting on Santa's lap together. And that's how far back that goes. That's quite a ways ago. And I thought that was kind of cool. And she got another good picture of us. It was actually the picture that we had that was part of our wedding invitation that we sent out to all our friends. We kind of lost track of each other a little bit during college, but she did keep up with me some, but we'd see each other very rarely. And she had a 21st birthday, and when she and her parents had moved down to Atlanta by this time. Again, he'd been relocated, and so we decided to go down there and go down there for her 21st birthday. And I hadn't talked to her in a while. I was really surprised to even get the invitation, but it was great. I said, man, I couldn't turn that down. So off I went. Hopped in the car and headed down there. And she's got a picture of us standing there together. And I might actually post that one. Who knows? I might get them on here. We'll see. But our picture from her 21st birthday. Now that weekend of her birthday was the last time we talked to each other for 35 years. See, she got on with Delta and had to relocate to New Orleans, and I pretty much stayed around the Charlotte area. I'd gone into business with some friends, and of course we both met somebody, both got married, both had kids, and 35 years later we hook up again, and we find out that we're still friends, and maybe a little more, and then that blossomed into full-blown love again, and boom, here we are married now, almost 2.5 years, and it's been great. Wouldn't take anything in the world for her. But I want to tell you a quick story about something, probably our most memorable date that we had. Now when I say date, you know what I'm talking about. We're friends. We're not more than friends, we're just friends. But it must have been a snow day, and she always, I think one reason that she noticed me back when we were young like that was that she always said that I had the coolest cars of anybody that she knew. And really they were my dad's cars, of course, but he had a Jeep, and I don't think she knew anybody else that had a Jeep. And she loved to ride in it, and I think it was a snow day, and we were out of school. It was really cold, and it had snowed the night before, and everything was really pretty, and I came by and picked her up, and we went out riding around. And we went up in this neighborhood, just riding around, and came up on a cul-de-sac, and there really weren't any houses really close to the cul-de-sac. So we decided to just ride up in there, and rode all the way to the end, and got to the end of the cul-de-sac, and there was this beautiful white, looks like a lawn or pasture, and we decided to ride right on across it, and to put it in four-wheel drive, and off I went. You know, the Jeep did fine, you know, going through the snow, no problem. And we went all the way across this little pasture, this little field, and there's some trees over there at the other end, and it overlooked a road. We were up maybe 10 or 15 feet above the road we were looking at. We just sat there and, you know, listened to some music and talked, and, you know, had a good time. I might even stolen a kiss, who knows? I don't remember. I know that's hard to remember, it's hard to believe, but I just don't. But anyway, we decided it was time to start heading back home, so I turned around and headed on back. Well, we get within about 100 feet of the cul-de-sac again to the road, going through this field, and all of a sudden the Jeep's not going. It's just sitting there, and I hear the motor racing. I said, uh-oh, we're getting stuck. So I stopped and got out and looked, and it was the nastiest, stickiest, gooeyest mud we'd flung up all over the side and underneath the Jeep. Well, I tried and tried, and I couldn't get it out. So I had to walk down the cul-de-sac a little ways, and there was a lady in a house right there, and I knocked on her door, and she was smart. She didn't open the door, but she asked me what I wanted, and I asked her if she would please call my father, and gave her the phone number. And he came out there in a little while, and he picked us up. We had to leave the Jeep in the field because we didn't have any way to get it out. It was just too far away. So we ended up taking my future wife home and dropping her off, and I got the chewing of my life from my dad. He really laid into me, and I don't know, I guess I was grounded for a month, who knows, but we had to go back later with a pickup truck and a steel cable that he borrowed off somebody, and I went out and slogged across that snowy field and got in the Jeep and gave her the gun while he pulled me from the pavement, and we got it out, and it was covered with mud. And I think it took me 3 or 4 days to get all that mud out from under and off top around that Jeep. I mean, there was Jeep on the top of the Jeep. That's how much mud on the top of the Jeep. That's how bad it was. So anyway, you know, like they always say, there's always a little more to the story. Well, I drove back up that cul-de-sac a couple of weeks after that. It snowed, melted, and probably a sunny day like it was today. And my golly, you know what that field was? It was a swamp. We had ridden across a swamp, and it was just cold and frozen enough that when we went through there the first time, it had kept us up. But the second time through, I guess the sun had melted enough of it to drop us out. Here I was trying to go through a swamp in a Jeep with a girl I was trying to impress. And boy, that really impressed her, let me tell you. But must have worked, because here we are all these years later, married. I thought you might like that story. You know, anytime a guy makes a fool of himself, it always makes for a good story. So, anyway. Well, let me let you go from this one. We really had a great holiday, and I'll get back on here again and talk a little more. But for now, hope you guys have a wonderful holiday, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.